Hey guys, welcome to another commentary done by Diggity. Upper left-hand corner we have Rush starting as the brown Terran. Bottom right-hand corner we have Ssak, or Ssak, or Ssak. I'll go with Ssak. I actually looked up how Artosis and Tasteless were choosing to pronounce it, and Ssak is the preferred. That S just throws me off. Maybe it's for the rank. This is going to be on Revolver, which is a fun map. Natural expansion here. You've got a little bit of a ramp leading out to the mid-space and a wide ramp to the south, which makes the natural expansion somewhat defensible, but you can see there's kind of lanes all the way across the exterior and these ramp areas all the way across the interior, which I think makes Terran versus Terran, particularly in the 3-factory Vulture meta era, more interesting than usual. Between these two guys, I'm not sure who to favor. Both of these guys they're just incredible Terran is really what it comes down to. Ssak, he has a really good balance, is really when I think, like, Light has the more absolutely solid stereotypical brick wall play. Ssak does mix it up with cheese every once in a while. I think he does it a little bit more often, but he doesn't have a matchup that he's like better at than the other matchups. He just is solid across the board and tends to optimize builds here and there. When I think of him, I feel like he's more of a reactive player. Rush, on the other hand, don't want to spoil anything in the ASL. He's had immense success recently. Has definitely, I would argue, established himself as one of the top 5 Terran. The other 4, I mean, Ssak potentially being in there, but Flashlight, Royal. Who am I missing? Probably missing someone there. Flashlight, Royal, Ssak. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. Sounds like good numbers. But Rush is true to his name. He almost always is the aggressor in his level of play. So I'm wondering, being in cross-spawn position, if this is going to cost him. He's going to send out a little bit of an earlier SCV scout, which could pay off actually because it is cross-spawn, because he's going to end up coming across his opponent's base. We're going to realize that it's cross-spawn a little bit earlier, which means he might be able to optimize that build towards a faster command center, knowing that it's a bit more defensible. Both barracks being placed towards that forward location so they can lift off and get that move out in the field, get that scouting information sooner rather than later. And it looks like we do have the standard 3 SCV on gas until they hit at least 100 thus far, so nothing crazy going on as far as like 14 command centers or anything like that. So checking the bottom left and moving to the right, and this is what I want to... Looks like the SCV, well, only left one SCV on gas, so it was going to be a faster command center build regardless, but we are seeing factory first here for Rush, but I'm wondering if he's going to make any adjustments upon realizing that his opponent is in the bottom right, because it takes longer at cross-map position to just get units out there. Interesting location for the supply depot right there. I feel like that blocks out a couple of siege tanks. Marine is going to push Rush's SCV back, but now he knows that it is in a cross position, has immediately lifted off that barracks and starting to move forward. Marine at a forward position. It looks like Ssak feeling that, well, that was weird, went under that tile. Is that like a hidden... I wonder if the map makers did that intentionally, but engaging that Marine, the Marine watching it move past. There is an SCV there to block, but Ssak sidling right past and getting scouting information, which is huge. So got the blockade this direction, this SCV being pushed back. We do have an initial factory producing a Marine for Ssak. Natural expansion being built for both players, but at just about the same timing as well. Ssak seeing those 3 SCV back in gas, and I think he saw the movement of the SCV back to the gas as well. SCV exploding along that corner. First Vulture out and going to hold the low ground, but I'm almost wondering if whoever plays the aggressor here is going to end up being punished for it, and Rush does tend to be that person. The one who's going to opt to strike first blood. Command center about halfway finished. We do have a lone Marine here out on the front. Second Vulture produced. Command center about 2/3 finished. The other question I have in my mind in this particular matchup is as far as are both players going to opt at cross position to continue with the standard 3-factory play? And my assumption is yes, just because of how important it is to have mine coverage mid-map. Speaking of aggression, Rush moving forward, I don't think he dodged out of the vision of that barracks. So I have to assume that Ssak knows they're coming. He's going to transfer SCVs to that natural expansion, one ending up behind. And they're taking the lower route. And it looks like they're just going to sneak up, murder that Marine, absolutely splorch him, and sneak right back out. So getting the small bonus kills here. Speed upgrading on this side. Machine shop not yet up. It looks like this is going to be 3-factory play from both players. More Vultures moving in. It's 3-on-3, but one of those Vultures coming up later. So Rush, with some nice micromanagement, there's an SCV repairing, able to kill 2 Vultures and now going to retreat, but yeah, striking a lot of damage early and re-engaging. It looks like Ssak with pushing up and getting some bonus, now trying to utilize that high ground misfire, able to turn it around and get 3 vulture kills and hold the final with, and I think there were a couple of misfires there at that position on the ramp, so Ssak able to turn it right back around. The barracks verifying that additional vultures are maintaining position now on the front rather than continuing up for a follow-up attack. Barracks scouting forward to go ahead and get a look at the factory count, also the SCV saturation, how many SCV are hanging out here on gas as they're making their way through. Should be at, well, I don't know if he's going to be able to see that machine shop spinning along that period of time. The machine shop is going to be spotted spinning on the opposite corner. An interesting play for Ssak. So Ssak actually moving out with this barracks out of position and going to wander midfield. Maybe because he has better eyes, moving this barracks back at the location of Rush's vultures, but in the darkness, knowing that there's double kind of, with vulture speed, having that double stab location, how quickly they can wipe units out. Look at this. Rush actually dropping that barracks and building a marine. This feels a bit like a waste of resources considering how rapidly marines die to vultures. So maybe just kind of, I'm wondering if this was as part of a sponsor match, just something silly you want to do. So the marine going to wander up. It's not going to get very far. Able to do a peck of damage versus that vulture before getting absolutely obliterated. The barracks pushing off, but you can see, yeah, this is Rush now having to hold position potentially, which might open up if there's the mine upgrade behind this to some mine plantage up on the front. Right now, Ssak holding the high ground, starting to maneuver a little bit forward, and that barracks, yeah, he's got good look at his opponent, where comparatively Rush is, he's able to see the units being produced, but is otherwise in the dark. The mines upgrade now being researched, a siege tank now being produced, and it looks like there is a 4th factory down for Rush behind this. There's a 4th factory tucked in the upper right-hand corner as well. And having that additional siege tank is going to give Rush the better defensive capability, but Ssak is going to be able to have a superior vision advantage momentarily as soon as those mines are planted. Somehow these 3 vultures, this is the advantage of this map on Revolver, able to sneak these vultures through the north. How Ssak missed them, this was my concern, is moving them out, is losing vision like this. So these vultures, very likely, yeah, walking into that natural expansion, able to feast. There is a siege tank to greet, but that single siege tank is going to take quite a bit of time. So SCVs being picked off. Ssak finally moving in, able to provide some reinforcement. But early damage done by Rush. What is with this? Is this, I'm wondering if this is part of the replay or whatnot, but this, I'll call them obsidian. I don't know what to call them otherwise. Units keep hovering underneath them. It's kind of interesting. Anyway, another foray. Some mines now being planted to at least see movement across the center of the map. But we do have the vultures making their way back around. Siege tech being upgraded there from Rush. I don't know. Yeah, they're going right underneath it. Interesting. SCV killed right there, and more vulture attacks into the natural expansion, only getting 2 SCVs. But still, that's holding the supply count just about even. Huge amount of vultures and siege tanks moving to the north. It looks like there's a big mine coverage there already, though. And siege tanks holding. So Rush, a little bit uncharacteristically, playing with a defensive game. I'm wondering, again, if this is because of the cross-map position. Vultures pushing in with that siege tank support. He should win these battles. You can see Ssak mostly conceding this ground. Some vultures sneaking across and just getting splatted in between. This does open up the potential for an earlier third. Rush moving mid-map with those vultures. They're going to be spotted in a big fight, but 2 siege tanks behind this, 3 siege tanks behind this. Should be able to equalize that battle. They do have siege tech. Rush backing out just in the nick of time. Some Goliaths, however, moving up to engage in the fight. The vultures mostly staying out of siege tank range. It looks like they are going to get on top of the lower siege tanks for some splash damage there. Might get a siege tank kill as a result, but the Goliath and 3 vultures going to cause Rush to sneak through. He's going to plant mines in the southern, I'll call that the southwest quadrant, and still engaging. Ssak wanting to get the better part of these battles. Still looks like there's double machine shop back at the main. We are seeing double machine shop back at this location as well. A starport being added on. I'm not sure if that is for weapons upgrade. I assume it's for, well, I don't know that it's for additional weapons upgrades, or it's potentially we're going to see some quick drops. The vultures trying to push through for Rush. You can just see how, yeah, he does not miss an opportunity to try to go for an attack at that natural expansion. Supply counts just about even. Rush a little bit ahead in the SCVs. On his side of the map, even though I feel like he had the earlier siege tank presence, it looks like it is going to be Ssak taking that 3 o'clock base. Mostly because I think he feels confident with this mine coverage. It looks like additional mines being cleared and planted at the forward position. A slew of siege tanks for Ssak actually moving forward and creating kind of a southern contain barrier on Rush's base, putting a lot of pressure, and I like this. So the aggression, so with the southern containment, able to shell that Vespene gas, Rush actually pulling SCVs off the line. Looks like he did establish that 11 o'clock base, but very quickly being starved for this gas is really going to hurt Rush's ability to stay relevant in this match, because not being able to produce siege tanks, a Wraith being produced out of this for Ssak. So no drop, we're actually going to see Wraith play. And there is no... So, okay, finally a Goliath being produced. We have a starport opposite side as well. Single Vulture able to sneak across the lines is going to confirm that third base is up. Kind of an interesting scenario. So actually, I take it back. So Rush is going to be able to at least get this third gas before the third gas is online. It's not going to be that much longer, though, before Ssak is able to establish that third gas and get that up and running. But the saturation still here. Missing this one gas for at least a short period of time won't hurt. But he's got to figure out some way to evict these 5 siege tanks, this Goliath, and this repair SCV to the south. And there's going to be a Wraith upcoming, that at which point that Wraith is going to be able to do some high ground spotting to solidify this position, make it a little bit rougher to make anything happen there to the north. In the meantime, Rush not even bothering trying to engage and reestablish that gas, and instead going through the outer ring. This has been spotted, however. Ssak, you can see, just diligently moving back, reestablishing siege tank lines and engaging vultures on vultures and getting the better part of those trades. I'm actually surprised that he's somehow behind in supply right here. His engagements have been fantastic. And even taking out some siege tanks here to the north. And wow! Even with these vultures here, plopping down a command center in Sakk's face, saying, I don't care about this missing gas. I'm just going to grab another base and grab another gas before you're able to establish your fourth, because I'm just going to be able to hold it and you're not going to be able to do anything about it. Incredible. Goliath wiping out troops to the, or that barracks to the south. It looks like the siege tanks being cleaned up. There are a superior amount of siege tanks here from Rush, but we'll see how long that is the case. Wow. Even from the low ground, getting some nice shots. Looks like there was some counter splash from the north. Still looking for that Wraith and where it's been staged out in this play. I don't think it was canceled. Valkyrie being built as well. Huh, interesting. Valkyrie is not something I expected here. I think it's maybe a showboat thing. Looks like we are seeing... Okay, so we're seeing some counter Wraith being produced. We have 3 Wraith at this location. Once I find the Wraith, I'll let you know. Vultures, in the meantime, diving into that 3 o'clock location. Able to pick off a lot of SCVs. That's drawing the siege tanks away from that southern ring. And the Wraith, actually, that was kind of a nice last-second build. The Wraith that moved into that location, discovering the siege tanks have already left, that's going to allow that additional gas to get reestablished. It's so weird with the... It's kind of throwing me off, those tiles. The Vultures completely obliterating this 3 o'clock. Finally, a siege tank able to wander up and clean up that last shot, but not before there's just a skeleton crew left at this location. Base, so this is going to be 4 bases coming online versus 3. And this third gas is right back where it started. Some Wraith pushing midfield, some Comsat clearing the mines, and all of a sudden, where Ssak had some nice map vision and a decent bit of map control, that is starting to fall apart. Rush has surged ahead in supply. Vultures streaming around these siege tanks, obliterating them with the reinforcing siege tanks. What a fantastic engagement. And the Vultures not even missing a beat. They'll say, we'll catch up with you guys later. Let's just dive in, get some more SCV kills. Rush going to hold back to 4 siege tanks to engage across the easternmost spoke. You can see SCV is actually already being transferred back to the 3 o'clock location. So this is turning into more of a death grip here for Rush, as all 4 bases are very saturated. A big Wraith force overhead, which explains the Valkyrie. Although I haven't seen that Valkyrie in this attack force, and honestly, I don't know that the Valkyrie would last very long. Here we go, counterattack force of 2 Valkyries So in the air, he should win the air battle. But there's still a 30 supply difference otherwise for Rush. And with a bit of cloaking and a bad comsat, this honestly feels a bit like an overinvestment, but we'll see. Wraith pushing in comsat to follow. Wraith sneaking out, re-engaging, trying to pick off, but the continuous comsat wiping it out. 2 Goliaths remain, but the 4 Wraith should be able to wipe out that Goliath. So now 3 ominous Valkyries and 3 Wraiths starting to peck away at the Siege Tanks mid-map. Only a 10 supply difference now. But this is 4 base. This is still 4 base saturation versus 3 base saturation. More Wraith moving up to engage in the air battle. Siege Tanks hiding under those tiles to the right, starting to make... Ooh, that was... Caught the last bit of that. That was really bad mine explosions right there. Fortunately for Ssak, this Wraith Valkyrie army creating some distractions and freeing some things up. Desperation turrets being planted at the 1 o'clock base. Ssak sneaking a base in the upper right. So more or less using his threat across mid-map to the right to establish a base. And this is kind of this feels a bit like a desperation scenario. Command center being built on the low ground at the 9 o'clock location. On the opposite side, more Wraith gathering up. So air control will be in Sakk's favor. I don't know that it's going to do a lot for him. More Vultures sneaking across, checking the 6 o'clock location to make sure an expansion wasn't there. But again, able to flood into the natural and wipe out more SCVs. And Rush has done such a fantastic job of just pressing in and devastating those SCV lines. Looks like that barracks is not long for life mid-map, so a bit of vision going to disappear for Rush. But he's, in the meantime, going to take that 9 o'clock base. He's got really good vision across the southern portion of the map. He's not able to really push at the 3 o'clock, but he doesn't really need to because he's still well ahead. He's got 4 bases, 175 versus 144 supply, and this base is going to be at risk as Rush is starting to push forward, and that's either going to cut off reinforcements as they move to the upper right. Honestly, Vultures could just flood this direction. You can see Sakk's immediate response trying to get a siege tank line to stem that tide, because this could be a game-ending maneuver if Rush pushes in and is able to cut off that upper right-hand base and SCV and reinforcement and pretty much anything else. The Wraith and the Valkyries making their way to the upper right. Looks like a command... Are you kidding me? There's another... I didn't even notice the commands that are being built up here. That's going to explode very rapidly. So 400 wasted minerals, but it does confirm that there's a base upper right. 9 o'clock base is up in the meantime, although not yet mining. So now let's see what Rush opts to do. Look, he's starting to push a little bit towards mid-map. Comsats on both sides. And this is really going to be the key location. We have some more reinforcements starting to stream to the middle for Rush. And I almost wonder if he's going to try to test the defensive lines that Ssak has established and maybe sneak another Vulture counterattack towards the natural expansion. You can just see on the mini-map, we'll go ahead and back it up, the siege tank lines here to the north, single Goliath wandering forth and getting obliterated. Some reinforcing siege tanks across the south, and we do see, yeah, they're starting to move out, clear the vision as they go across to the south. That is prompting a counterattack, or at least a counter-reinforce from Ssak. Now there's some Valkyries and Wraith on the opposite side for Rush to maybe get some air control and press up that direction. 9 o'clock base is now sailing for Rush, so he's maintaining that economic lead. The Wraith coming in last second and obliterating a lot of that army, and that's, what, 5 Valkyries? So kind of the counter joke. Siege tank's going to get picked away at and potentially cleared out. Wraith trying to micro against this. The Valkyries joining in the fray as well, so it's going to be Valkyrie on Valkyrie with a few Wraith to support. The Wraith not able to be a big factor, so it looks like the Valkyries, 4 Valkyries going to remain, and that's going to provide some nice overhead vision of that clump of siege tanks as Rush is able to seal the upper right, sending in the Vultures to clear the SCVs, stop that production of gas, and now he is an absolute, that might be GG right there, because you've got the base that's mined out basically at the main. Yes, you have an additional base that can kind of be held here at the 6 o'clock, but that's going to be 3 bases versus 5. What is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5. Natural expansion is going to be gone in a second, so really 4. But 3 versus 4, plus the lead, plus all of the supply advantages Rush is already grabbing yet another base at the lower side natural expansion. Looks like some troops are trying to make their way across, find a weak point, but Rush immediately reinforcing with some Goliaths and Sea Shanks, losing 3 to the front, but it does not matter. He just has an overwhelming attack force. Also has the upgrade lead with +2 weapons right there. So able to just engage what is kind of a pithy attack force, kind of a desperation measure right there. Rush takes it. It's fun to see Valkyries in a TvT, I will say. So a nice little bit of spice there. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for listening.